I think it's important that people engage with the technology somehow. I don't think they should be engaging with it all of their time and it should take up all of their free time. But I think this idea that we just press a button and everything works can also be somehow disempowering. And I think that is kind of the model of internet that we have now. And that model is somehow problematic, where everything just kind of is easy and you don't need to understand how it works. And I think us not understanding how it works can also lead to some kind of bad outcomes. I think we're seeing the effects of this sort of push button technology in the urban world, you know? And that's not always, I think, what we want. So I think there needs to be a middle ground. I think it has to be something that people can do from the set of skills that they have. And certainly, I mean, you guys have the same experience somehow, you know, you can do it. It is possible to train people who aren't literate to set up an internet network. It's not like it can't be done. It can be done. And I think the engagement with the technology helps people gain a different kind of literacy around the technology. And I think that literacy is crucial for people to get the most out of the technology and the most out of it in the sense of the best parts of it, and also hopefully have a better and more critical understanding of the possible dangers of the technology or negative possibilities that the technology presents. And I would also say that Rhizomatica, we don't only work with internet technologies. We try to look at this idea of community networks from a communication standpoint. So if you look at most of the networks that we actually build, they use internet, but they usually are using internet to deliver other services, not just internet connectivity itself. So we built a huge cellular network, most of which is a voice network. We're also working in Brazil and here in Ecuador, where I am actually at this very moment, on using sort of a hybrid, using internet technologies to make HF or shortwave radio able to pass digital information over very, very long distances for isolated communities in the Amazon. So our take on it isn't so much our job is to get people access to the internet. We feel that our job is to help people communicate in the ways that help them build their autonomy, defend their territory, and kind of organize themselves for a nice and good life, you know? And sometimes that includes the internet and sometimes it doesn't. But I certainly agree with the statement, which is that the only way or the best way, you said, to sort of contextualize is to have people being engaged at every part of the process. And if we don't do that, then yes, we are just essentially extending a consumer model or even what I think of as a circuit of capitalist accumulation into areas that have somehow been not been part of that. And I wonder kind of what our role is as people who are promoting these technologies is to make sure that we do that responsibly and we do that in ways that people can actually get what they want out of the technology. We've tried to build networks that are very aligned with the ways that people live and the ways that people inhabit their territory and the ways that people organize. And kind of depending on that. So for example, the folks that we work with deep in the Amazon rainforest, there's no really good way or affordable way to get backhaul there, to get even a satellite connection. And furthermore, it's very important to us that people are able to support their networks themselves, that it isn't relying on injections of cash from outside. So it's really important for us that people locally can support their own network. So how do you build a network in a place where people don't have money, where there's no money? They can't exchange money for a service. That's why we use something like digital shortwave, because there's no service provider. We're just bouncing the signal off the ionosphere and it can go 800, 1,000, 1,500 kilometers, which is amazing. And we don't have to pay anybody to do that. So for the community, as long as they're able to kind of maintain the equipment, there's not a monthly service that they're having to pay to somebody. So that's that experience. That's why we went in that direction there. In Mexico, it's been a kind of a different story somehow. When we started there, people were just interested in talking. They were interested in keeping their communities together. Lots of people had migrated out of the communities to the US or other parts of Mexico, and people just wanted to be in touch. So we basically built a huge voice network. And kind of the idea there was to make it a federated network. So each community owns and operates its own network, but they come together they organize together for different goals. So some of those are regulatory goals. So all of these networks got built, and then they had to kind of legalize their networks, and we felt that that was easier to do together. Same with, they sort of share a technical team that helps with maintenance. So it's not just one community, but 20 communities help all together pay the salaries and the rent and everything of the organization that kind of helps keep all of their networks going. So they share the costs. So very different experiences based on local reality.